The Senate will come to order. I ask all present, please rise and join with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us dwell upon the message of Matthew. And in this gospel of the kingdom will we preach, and the whole world will give testimony to all nations that the end will come. A reading of the journal.
In Senate Thursday, June 16th, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Wednesday, June 15th was read and approved on motion. Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal will stand approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, Secretary will read.
On page 7, Senator Bonasek moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 7480A and substitute with the identical Senate Bill 53018, third reading calendar 397. On page 19, Senator Bonasek moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8630A and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6485A, third reading calendar 1074. On page 20, Senator Kennedy moved to discharge from the Committee on Transportation Assembly Bill number 7574E and substitute the identical Senate Bill 5306E, third reading calendar 1107. On page 24, Senator Martins moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 10283A and substitute the identical Senate Bill 77098, third reading calendar 1197. On page 26, Senator Bonasek moved to discharge the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 7731B and substitute the identical Senate Bill 5541B, third reading calendar 1313. On page 29, Senator Funke moved to discharge from the Committee on Finance Assembly Bill number 5133C and substitute the identical Senate Bill 1000D, third reading calendar 1380. On page 29, Senator Little moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 2981B and substitute the identical Senate Bill 817B, third reading calendar 1411. And on page 30, Senator Klein moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8166A and substitute the identical Senate Bill 5485B, third reading calendar 1442.
The substitutions are so ordered. And messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports of state officers. Motions and resolutions, Senator DeFrancisco.
Reverend President, can we now take up the reading of the non-controversial calendar?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 212 by Senator Amador, Senate Print 6515A, enact amend the highway law.
Last section.
Section 3, this act should take effect immediately.
Call a roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 48.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 397 by Member of the Assembly Scartados, Assembly Print 7480A, enact amend the general municipal law.
There's a home rule message present at the desk. Secretary will read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call a roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 47, nays 1. Senator Avella recorded in the negative.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 700 by Senator Felder.
Lay it aside for the day.
Calendar number 721 by Senator Martin, Senate Print 6471B, enact amend the public authorities law.
Lay it aside temporarily.
Calendar number 899 by Senator Bonasek, Senate Print 5300B, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law.
There's a home rule message present at the desk. Secretary will read the last section.
Section 6, this act should take effect on the 30th day.
Call a roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes. Relation to calendar 899, those recorded in the negative are Senators Croce, DeFrancisco, and Ranzenhofer. Also, Senator Serino. Ayes 44, nays 4.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1074 by Member of the Assembly Gunther, Assembly Print 8630A, enactment of general business law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 48.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1107 by Member of the Assembly People Stokes, Assembly Print 7574E, enactment of vehicle and traffic law.
There's a home rule message present at the desk. Secretary will read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Kennedy to explain his vote.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you very much. I rise to explain my vote on this extremely important piece of legislation to the people of the city of Buffalo, especially the Fruit Belt neighborhood, a historic residential neighborhood in the heart of the city of Buffalo. It's right up and adjacent to the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus that is expanding at an exponential rate. Thousands of people being employed in the downtown corridor that weren't there in the past, and it's a great thing. But this has created issues over the years, issues within the Fruit Belt neighborhood, the residential neighborhood as it pertains to parking. And so what this bill ultimately does, it will allow the city of Buffalo to promulgate a permit system to ensure that residents that reside in the Fruit Belt neighborhood have that ability to park where they live. And unfortunately, over the years, it's become very difficult for that to happen. With the influx of workers and patients and visitors at the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, we've seen a lack of parking in the Fruit Belt neighborhood. The result has been that residents, many of whom live in homes that don't have driveways, have to park oftentimes blocks away from where they live when they go out to perform simple tasks like going grocery shopping or driving their children to and from school or daycare or other events. And at the end of the day, this is a transformational bill for the folks in the Fruit Belt neighborhood and in the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus that utilize those services every single day. This bill took quite a while to get done, and there are many people to thank. I want to thank first and foremost the sponsor in the Assembly, Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples-Stokes, for her leadership in shepherding this through the Assembly. I want to thank Mayor Byron Brown and his team for really working collaboratively with other government leaders like Council President Darius Pridgeon and the community leaders in labor, in the business community, in the residential community, who came together countless times in meeting after meeting to really work to come up with
Can I have
this
some order in the House,
solution.
please? Senator Kennedy, excuse me, some order. Thank you.
So there was really nothing easy about this bill because it was very complex. The product was very complex, and the outcome is a very, very positive one. I want to thank our friends in organized labor that also came to the table, starting with CSEA, CWA, SEIU, and UUP, who came to the table, worked through these issues, and communicated, which was the most important thing. I also want to give a special thanks to the leadership in my House, Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins, for prioritizing this, working across the aisle with the committee chair of transportation, Senator Joe Robach, also Senator Patrick Galvin, and the leadership of Senator Klein, Senator Flanagan, for bringing this to the floor today. I vote aye, Mr. President. Thank you.
Senator Kennedy, be recording the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 56.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 1192 by Senator Young, Senate Print 1989, enact amend the workers' compensation law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1192, those recorded in the negative are Senators Breslin, Comrie, Espaillat, Hamilton, Hoylman, Kaminsky, Kruger, Panapinto, Peralta, Perkins, Persaud, Rivera, Sanders, Savino, Serrano, Squadron, Stavisky, and Stewart Cousins. Ayes 38, nays 18.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1197 by Member of the Assembly Tatone, Assembly Print 10283A, an act to amend the workers' compensation law.
The bill will be laid aside temporarily.
You got that? Calendar number 1233 by Senator Golden, Senate Print 4072B, an act to amend the penal law.
Last section.
Section 40, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Golden to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise briefly to explain this great bill and thank my colleagues for voting for it. We'll lose billions of dollars here in this great nation each and every year because of cybersecurity and identity theft. We've been working very closely with the Manhattan District Attorney, Cy Vance, on a comprehensive bill to address these issues. This bill that identifies many new activities as identity theft and creates a graduated series of penalties based on the actual or potential damages and the number and by the number of persons and properties affected and the dollar figures how it graduates. It also, the bill sets a new series of definitions and crimes related to the use of skimmer devices, such as cloned remotes, schemes to defraud through digital means. They came into my community in one weekend and emptied that community out of $1 million in about 12 hours into six to seven different stores with these skimmer devices. Expanding that definition of illegal theft of computer-related materials to cover positioning systems and personal preferences of machine operations, and making such things as theft of vehicle access codes subject to larceny and criminal possession of criminal property provisions. That's just a few of the different upgrades that we will do to bring cybersecurity and identity theft into the 21st century. We need to get these laws passed, we need to get them on the book, and we need to stop the billions and billions of dollars that we lose each and every year to identity theft and to cybersecurity. I vote aye, and I thank my colleagues for voting aye as well.
Results.
Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1260 by Senator DeFrancisco, Senate Print 6316, act to amend the Public Authorities Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect on the 120th day.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
So his last name is. Results.
In relation to calendar 1260, those recorded in the negative are Senators Comrie, Hamilton, Hoylman, Kruger, Persaud, Rivera, Sanders, and Stavisky. Ayes 50, nays 8.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1273 by Senator Laval, Senate Print 7549, act to amend the education law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 58.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1283 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 4108D, an act to amend the insurance law.
Last section.
Section 5, the statute.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 1284 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 6693, enact amending insurance law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll. Lay it aside.
Calendar number 1291 by Senator Marchone, Senate Print 3538B, enact amended general municipal law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1309 by Senator DeFrancisco, Senate Print 7864A, enact amended general municipal law.
Last section.
Section 5, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1313 by Member of the Assembly Pretlow, Assembly Print 7731B, enact amended racing, parimutuel wagering, and breeding law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1380 by Member of the Assembly Morelli, Assembly Print 5133C, enact amend the Volunteer Firefighters Benefit Law.
Last section.
Section 3, this act should take effect on the same date, same manner as Chapter 54 of the laws of 2016.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1410 by Member of the Assembly Godfrey, Assembly Print 2981B, enact amend the Public Health Law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect in 180 days.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 57, nays 1. Senator Sanders recorded in the
The
negative.
bills passed.
Calendar number 1411 by Senator Hannan, Senate Print 6314, enact amend the Public Health Law.
Last section.
Section 33, this act should take effect on the 180th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1411, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Croce, Farley, Felder, Lanza, Ort, and Ransenhofer. Ayes 53, nays 7. Oops, excuse me. Also Senator Kaminsky. Ayes 52, nays 8. Calendar number 1442 by Member of the Assembly Crespo, Assembly Print 8166A, enact amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 180th day. Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Which one is this? This is Akshar's? Results.
In relation to calendar 1442, those recorded in the negative are Senators Akshar, Amador, Croce, Funky, Griffo, Laval, Little, Murphy, Ort, Sereno, and Seward. Also Senator O'Mara, also Senator Ransenhofer. Also Senator Ritchie. Ayes 46, nays 14.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 1499 by Senator Akshar, Senate Print 6665A, an act amending the environmental conservation law.
Last section.
Section 4, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. In relation to calendar 1499, those recorded in the negative are Senators Espaillat, Perkins, and Serrano. Ayes 57, nays 3.
Bill's passed.
On page 30, Senator Vella moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules, Assembly Bill number 8641B, and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7983B, third reading calendar 1520.
Last section. Substitution of sword.
Calendar number 1520 by Member of the Assembly Hevesy, Assembly Print 8641B, an act amending the Social Services Law.
The last section.
Section 3, the statute take effect on the 60th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 60.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 1571 by Senator Gallivan, Senate Print 6949C, an act amending the Public Officers Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 60.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 1699 by Member of the Assembly Magnarelli, Assembly Print 10255, an act in relation to redistributing.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 60.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 1897 by Senator Ort, Senate Print 8142, an act amending the Social Services Law.
Last section.
Section 3, the statute take effect on the same date, same manner as chapter laws of 2016.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 60.
The bill is passed. We gotta let him do it. Senator DeFrancisco, that completes the initial non-controversial reading of the active list before the House.
Can we go to the controversial reading of the calendar, specifically calendar number 7721, which was laid aside temporarily?
We will return to the temporary lay-aside, and the substitution will commence. Secretary will read.
On page 12, Senator Martin's moved to discharge from the Committee on Rules, Assembly Bill 8139D, and substitute for the identical Senate Bill 6471B, third reading calendar 721.
The substitution is so ordered, and Secretary will read.
Calendar number 721 by Member of the Assembly Schimmel, Assembly Print 8139D, an act amending the Public Authorities Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 60.
And the bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Could you not also take up 1197, which was laid aside?
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 1197 by Member of the Assembly Tatone, Assembly Print 10283A, an act amending the Workers' Compensation Law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Results.
In relation to calendar 1197, those recorded in the negative are Senators Addabbo, Breslin, Comrie, Espaillat, Gianaris, Hamilton, Hassel-Thompson, Hoylman, Kaminsky, Kruger, Latimer, Penapinto, Peralta, Perkins, Persaud, Rivera, Sanders, Serrano, Squadron, Stavisky, and Stewart Cousins. Also, Senator Kennedy. Ayes 38, nays 22.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
We now skip to 1284 on the calendar.
Are we still in non-controversial, Senator DeFrancisco?
No, we're on controversial on each one of these.
Secretary will ring the bell. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 1284 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 6693, enact amend the insurance law.
An explanation is requested by Senator Valesky. Senator Seward.
We're on 1284, correct? Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. This bill eliminates the reinsurance limitation currently imposed on mortgage guarantee insurers, which prohibits coverage of more than 25% of a borrower's mortgage indebtedness to an insured lender unless this mortgage guarantee insurer obtains reinsurance for the amounts that exceed that 25%, the limit. As we all know, mortgage guarantee insurance is a type of insurance that banks and other lenders purchase to protect them from losses if borrowers default on their residential home loans. Now, the history here is back in 1994, based on recommendation of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, this 25% limit was included in New York state law. And the problem has been that since the statute was enacted, the market for reinsurance of these mortgage guarantee risks did not develop. And as such, the mortgage guarantee insurers have had to create affiliated insurers on their own within their own companies and affiliations to comply with these reinsurance requirements. And this has created really what I would describe almost as a shell game and also a number of administrative expenses that lead to higher costs for everyone associated here. Now, because of the fact that this reinsurance market never did develop, the NAIC, which is our National Association of Insurance Commissioners, they've recognized the problem and they have revised their Model Act to eliminate this 25% requirement. So this legislation is putting New York back in compliance with the recommendation of the NAIC in this area. This legislation will have no negative effect on consumers or the insured lenders. This legislation alleviates the unnecessary administrative and financial burdens that have been placed on these mortgage guarantee insurance marketplace without making any changes to risk and capital requirements.
Thank you, Senator
That's
Seward.
the explanation on the bill.
Senator Savino.
President, would the sponsor yield?
Senator Seward, do you yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, through you, Mr. President, I only have one question for the sponsor. Just to make sure I understand, Senator Seward, I think your explanation was pretty good. I think I got the idea. So just to make sure I totally get it, so mortgage guarantee insurance basically is insurance that banks purchase or lenders purchase to mitigate against their risk in the event that borrowers or homeowners default on mortgages that they have taken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. On the bill, Mr. President.
Senator Savino on the bill.
Unfortunately, I'm going to vote no on this bill, not because I don't understand the need for it, or I don't understand the work that Senator Seward has put into it, or the importance of it. But quite frankly, we in this state have been struggling with a foreclosure crisis that has depressed values of homes in our community. We have struggled right up to the very last day of this legislative session to come up with a solution to deal with that foreclosure crisis, the issue of zombie properties and abandoned properties and the effect that they've had on our communities. And the people who have refused to negotiate in good faith and come to a solution that we can all adopt and pass before we leave here today are the banks, the very people who are buying insurance to protect against their own loss in case, of course, there's exposure because of default. So I'm voting no on this legislation until they're prepared to come to the table to help homeowners mitigate against their loss. I say, why should the banks have any more protection from anyone else? I vote no, Mr. President.
Senator Savino to be recorded in the negative. Senator Stavisky to explain her vote.
If the sponsor would yield, I have a couple of questions. Real quick.
Senator
Two
Stavisky
questions,
has
real
some
quick.
questions
Yes.
from Senator Seward. Do you yield?
Yes,
Many
I do.
years,
Senator yields. Can I get some order now?
many years ago, I worked in the actuarial department of an insurance company, so I do, and I even passed a couple of the exams. Let me ask you just two quick questions. Is this going to affect any of the reserves that are required by various entities?
No, this legislation does not impact the required reserves.
At one point, that was a problem. Secondly,
Absolutely.
isn't it true that many of the insurance companies don't absorb the entire risk themselves, but farm out some, for the reinsurance companies?
Yes, that is the concept behind reinsurance.
That's my point.
The issue here has been for this type of reinsurance, that market never really developed as was envisioned back in 1994. And so that's why they've had to go this other route of setting up all these affiliated reinsurers on their own. And thus they're still assuming the full risk. So why make them go through that? That's the decision of the NAIC. New York and Ohio are the only states that continue to have this 25% requirement and limit, and so we're just conforming with what the NAIC is recommending to the states at this time.
Thank you.
Senator DeFrancisco.
I'm supporting this bill. This bill makes a lot of sense because we should be not continuing regulations that have no purpose, not be an outlying state as far as how the industry works, so that we could be attractive to companies that might want to do business here. Every time there's an issue about a mortgage or a foreclosure, it's always the fault of the bank, or it's the fault of the insurance company, or it's the fault of somebody else. But I'll tell you whether it's zombie properties or anything else. But I remember there was a day in the Senate when there was a whole slew of bills, it was either in 2009 and 2010, whole slew of bills that stretched out the mortgage foreclosure process to a point where it was virtually uncertain when someone didn't pay their mortgage for the bank to foreclose and get on with the business of trying to repossess and sell the property. So here we flash forward until 2016, and we've got all of these problems that seem to be blamed on banks and insurance companies, banks for not taking care of their properties and insurance companies for charging too much, when in truth and fact, the rules that were put in back in those 2 years concerning foreclosures that made it difficult to remove someone who, God forbid, was not paying their mortgage. That lengthening of the process resulted in houses that were either just sitting there, becoming dilapidated, or people just squatting in the homes, making it even more possible to try to get the banks with repossession of the property. And now we've got a whole series of rules to correct the rules that were put in effect during those 2 years. So Obviously, we have problems. We got to resolve them. My whole point of my discussion here is that people are blaming the wrong parties for the difficulties we're having in the foreclosure process. And therefore, when we do vote, I'm going to vote in favor of this bill.
Seeing and hearing no other, Senator Breslin.
Just briefly on the
Senator
bill, Mr.
Breslin on the
President.
bill.
This, the situation as it exists now has the unintended consequences of making a consumer pay more. It allows the guarantee companies to create this, not a sham, but an added layer to cover the additional 25% with no market there. It does nothing additionally to protect the consumer. It raises the cost because of the administration of that 25%, and accordingly, I vote in the affirmative. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing and hearing no other senator that wishes to be heard, the debate is closed and the secretary will ring the bell.